Welcome to Wisdom's Peaceful Harmony. I'm Dr. Lynette Wiest, and this is the second in a three-part series on managing and expressing anger. In this video, I will specifically give you 5 ways to go about managing your anger. And it is really important to understand that managing anger does not mean getting rid of it. Anger is really important. It brings you information. And in the first video, I talked about how to really look into what is your anger signaling you about. But it is really important to manage the anger, meaning to have enough distance from your anger so that you're controlling it, that it's not controlling you. You are responsible for how you manage and how you express your anger. And even if anger feels overwhelming, you can control your actions and your behaviors. Your anger is not responsible for the way that you act. Your thoughts are responsible for your actions. Anger is an emotion. It's not a thinking process. Anger does not make decisions for your words and for your actions. So here are 5 ways that you can go about managing your anger so that you can have enough distance from the anger while still maintaining the importance of the message it's bringing you. The first way is to get distance from the anger, from that emotion. And so some ways to do that are soothing yourself with self-talk. And that would be things like reminding yourself, my opinions count, or I will talk with somebody who's interested in what I have to say. I have a right to my thoughts and my opinions. I have a right to tell the truth about who I am and how I think. I respect myself. I'm a kind and loving person. Another way to get that distance is to engage in a comforting activity like taking a long shower or exercising or singing or praying or meditating or going out into nature. Another way to get this distance from the emotion is to forgive. Forgiving is something that you do for yourself. It's not something you're necessarily doing for the other person. Forgiveness separates you from the negativity, from harm, the harm of negativity, of the harm of holding negativity. A second way to manage anger is to share your thoughts with an uninvolved person. Now, if you decide to do this, be sure that you let that person know whether you would like to just have a compassionate ear to talk to or whether you want advice. If you share your anger and you don't want any advice and the person starts to give you advice, you may become more angry. So make sure you clarify that. The third way that you could manage your anger is that if your anger is towards somebody, tell the person directly of your emotions. Now, if you're going to do this, make sure you take responsibility for how you feel. Don't go into this blaming the other person. That won't go well. Take some time to decide what you want from the interaction. And then when you're expressing yourself, you want to make sure you talk in the form of I statements. I statements are statements that are about yourself. They're about what you're thinking or how you're feeling. I statements are about what's going on inside of your skin. I statements are not statements about the other person. So using the you statements, which is about the other person, that can actually trigger offense or defense in the other person. And you want cooperation. So use I statements. And I will be doing a further video in the future all about I statements. So you can look for that. Acknowledge the other person's point of view. Don't argue facts. The purpose of this conversation you're having is so that you can express how you're feeling. So you're not trying to problem solve right here. You're trying to share your emotions so that they know. So don't argue the facts. You may have very different perspectives. State your feelings. And then acknowledge that the other person, they probably did not intend that you would be angry. So acknowledge that. Now, there's a chance that in this interaction, you may receive an apology from the other person. And if you do, it's usually a good idea to go ahead and accept that apology. You may still need to decide how there would be a reconciliation, and that may take a plan. But if they just want to apologize, accept the apology. A fourth way to manage anger is to request a change. Now, this change could be from another person, from a group of people, or even from yourself. So first you want to set up a time to really think about and then talk about what's going on. An agreeable time. Set up an agreeable time. Talk about the immediate situation. Do not bring up things from the past, because that can just get complicated and confusing. It may also bring in other emotions, and there just may be too much going on. So really try to stick with what the present situation is. And then you want to make sure that you're using productive communication skills. If you're not sure about this, I've done some previous videos about productive communication skills, and I'll also do some further videos about that. Then make sure you request a specific change, and I mean specific. If you're requesting a change and you're not specific about it, you may think that the other person has the exact same idea as you do about the change that you're talking about, and they may think the same of you. And so requesting a specific change, a way to go about measuring that that's what's going on, is make sure that what you're saying you can actually visualize in your mind. And you may want to make sure that the other person has the same visual about what you're talking about. So you might want to check in and see how they heard that. Otherwise, if you can't visualize it, it may be that you are being pretty abstract and you may both have different ideas about what's being talked about. That can create a whole nother problem. And then confirm agreement about any plan for change. You want to make sure that if you think there's agreement, that there really is. So if a person just nodding their head, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're agreeing about a plan for a change and a plan about steps or follow through. It may just mean that they're listening to you. So check in about that. And then the fifth way to manage anger is to change your approach. So in this, you would notice that you're positioned in anger, and then decide to change your mind or change your behavior so that you can get some distance from that anger. And then act by choice. When you actually express yourself, you're going to act by choice, rather than out of the blowing up or swallowing feelings. You're going to make sure you know that you have your anger, have distance from the anger. And if you're going to make a personal change, don't wait for somebody else to change first. Go ahead and make the changes that you want to make. Don't let it be controlled, the illusion of control, because somebody else isn't changing. You can control what you decide to think and what you decide to do. I hope this information has been helpful. In the next video, I will talk a bit about expressing anger. And if you would like to be sure to get notifications about future videos, please press the subscribe button. Welcome.